السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. All praise is due to Allah. May Allah's peace and blessings be upon His final messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as He deserves to be praised, the praiseworthy. Inshallah, today we will start Kitab al-Salah, book of prayer. And in fiqh, this specific book is considered the longest book in the matters of worship, because there's so many parts to it. We're going to be talking about Athan, talking about the pillars, talking about the obligations, talking about the mustahabbat, preferred actions, disliked actions, and then we're going to be talking matters related to prayer, which is sujood al-sahu, matters regarding sujood al-sahu, and then also the obligatory prayer and the prayer times, the types of prayer, eclipse prayer, salat al-kusuf, salat al-duha, salat al-eidain, salat al-jumu'ah, each with its separate rulings. So it's a big section, it's a really big section. And subhanAllah, there's so many matters. And some of the matters, there's dispute. So, the madhab that we're going to be taking is, the main madhab is the Hanbali madhab. But then, certain matters where there's dispute, we'll be mentioning, okay, what did the majority say? The majority said this. And inshallah, in the WhatsApp group, the workbook for fiqh, for the prayer, inshallah, will be uploaded there. So you can download it, you can revise from it, you can prepare from it, so that you're going to be prepared before the class. Especially there are things that you need to memorize, like what are the pillars of prayer? What are the obligations of prayer? These things requires memorization. And it's something very important. It's regarding your prayer. What if you made a mistake in prayer? You forgot one sajda. طيب, you remembered this sajda after standing up, before reciting. Before reciting, there's a ruling. If you remembered this sajda after reciting the Fatiha, there's another ruling. This is based on the madhab. And some other madhabs, it's after reaching ruku', it changes. So these are very important things. Conditions of prayer. Some people making a mistake in the conditions of prayer will invalidate your prayer. So these things are very important. Yes, it requires some studying, yes, it requires some memorization, but at the end of the day, you're rewarded for this effort that you put in studying this. And this is knowledge regarding the most important physical worship, which is salah. So we'll start, inshallah, with Babul Adhan, matters regarding the prayer call. على النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال إذا حضرت الصلاة فأذنا وأقيما ثم لأمكما أكبركما. So this hadith here said the Messenger Muhammad صلى الله عليه وسلم commanding two people who asked the Messenger Muhammad صلى الله عليه وسلم about worship, about salah. He said, if the prayer time enters, perform adhan, then perform iqamah, and after that let one of you, the one who is older, let him be an imam. What is the ruling for adhan? The ruling for adhan is, it is a communal obligation. What does it mean when we say a communal obligation? Fardu kifaya. That means if one group does the adhan, then alhamdulillah, it suffices the rest. This is what it means, a communal obligation. Someone of this one or a group of the community has to do the adhan. If nobody does the adhan, everyone is sinful. Every single person is considered, it's a sin on every single person. If one group does the adhan, which is the mu'adhinun, alhamdulillah, then khalas. Not everyone is required to do the adhan. طيب. What about a person praying by himself? So he's in his room, he woke up 1 hour, 2 hours after adhan, and he wanted to do the adhan by himself at home, not raising his voice so that he doesn't cause confusion to the people outside. By himself, can he do adhan by himself? Can he do adhan by himself? Or he's traveling, for example, you're traveling between Abu Dhabi and Dubai, and you wanted to do this worship, you wanted to pray Dhuhr, for example, between the time of Dhuhr and Asr, you're by yourself. Can you do adhan by yourself? Yes, no problem. You can do your adhan, and then you do your iqamah, and then you pray. No problem. What is the ruling for this? Is it an obligation or is it preferred? It is preferred. It is preferred. What about women? Women at home. Do they have to do adhan? Huh? No, you don't think so. صح. Otherwise, everyone does adhan. Subhanallah, the woman. Of course, it's disliked. The madhab is disliked for women to do adhan. Because women should not be raising their voices. They should not be raising their voices. So for women, aslan, the normal adhan of the conditions should be by males. But women by themselves, at home, do they do the adhan? It's not legislated. Some madhabs will say it's permissible at times to do adhan, but even adhan, no iqamah, they should not be doing no adhan, no iqamah. Adhan and iqamah is never obligated on women, whether they are residing in residence or traveling. They should never be doing adhan or iqamah. Sisters praying at home should be praying without adhan and without iqamah. Even if they're praying sometimes in congregation, they're praying together. Sisters, do they do adhan and iqamah? They don't do adhan and they do not do iqamah. Now, here sometimes we have groups. We prayed Isha and there's a group who came late and they want to pray Jama'ah. Of course, they do not do adhan. But what about iqamah? Yes, they do an iqamah. It's preferred for them to do an iqamah. Is it an obligation? Is it a condition? No. If they did not do an iqamah and directly said, Yallah, pray, Allahu Akbar, he prayed, their prayer is valid. But it's preferred for them to do an iqamah. It's preferred for them to do an iqamah. One adhan in the masjid, khalas, this suffices them. The iqamahs we can have, every group can have their own iqamah, no problem. No problem. What about making up past prayers? Then you're by yourself, you're going to be praying, for example, prayers that have passed. Do you do an iqamah for every prayer? If you want to do an iqamah for every prayer, you can. And you're rewarded for this. So you're going to make up, for example, you're by yourself, you're going to make up Fajr, Dhuhr, Asr, for something that you have missed long time ago. And we'll talk about this inshallah later. What is the ruling for make up obligatory prayers that you have missed? The majority will say you have to make them up. al-Arba'a, the 4 Imams, will say you have to make up lost prayers. Now the question is, in these lost prayers, you want to pray them. Should you do an iqamah for every prayer that you miss? So let's say, for example, like the common example, you came home before Dhuhr, you slept, and you woke up after Asr, and you missed the Asr prayer in Jama'ah. But you were very tired, you just came from a place. You want to pray Dhuhr and you want to pray Asr. What is the ruling for doing iqamah here? Who can tell me? We just explained it. Who can tell me? So you missed Dhuhr and Asr, you're praying by yourself at home. By yourself. You want to do iqamah of Dhuhr and you want to do iqamah of Asr. The question is, what is the ruling of doing iqamah here? Do you understand the question?
You can do iqamah for both, but it's preferred to do one iqamah.
No, each one has its own iqamah, it's no problem. It's preferred to do an iqamah for each one. One adhan. If you missed a lot of prayer, you want to do an adhan, do one adhan. But iqamah for every prayer, you can do an iqamah, no problem. For making a past prayer, it is preferred to make a single adhan, and then an iqamah for every prayer. An iqamah for, this is preferred. If a person did not do an adhan and did not do an iqamah, he directly prayed Dhuhr and then he prayed Asr, no problem. Your prayer is valid. It's better if you did an iqamah for Dhuhr and an iqamah for Asr. Okay. What are the conditions of a valid adhan? What are the things that are made in the adhan that makes this adhan a valid adhan? Number 1, it should be ordered. The Imam will say Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, and then Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Order. This is the order that we know. So, if he made the mistake, let's say he said Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, And then he said, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. And then he said, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. The order is not right. So if somebody outside heard this, they know the adhan, it's not a valid adhan. He said, he gave you all the wordings of adhan, even though it was not ordered. And the order of the adhan is a condition. So he makes up, someone can come and make up the adhan. Properly ordered. So the first condition, it should be, the wordings should be ordered. The second condition, it should be consecutive. What does this mean? He says, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. And they said, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. And then his friend came. Hey Shaykh, كيف حالك? 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Then he continues, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. No, it was not consecutive. He has to repeat the whole adhan. Actually, if this happened and the microphone was on, he'll be fired. Everyone will go and call Awqaf. Awqaf will cause a problem. So, yes, it should be consecutive. This happens if you're at home. If you do an iqama, this happens a lot, I'll tell you when. You do an iqama, Yalla Allah Akbar, Ashhadu an la ilaha, and then someone says, no, the qibla is wrong. And then you change. And then you continue the iqama. No, you do the iqama again. This happens a lot. If you're traveling on the road, you're praying, you start doing the iqama, then somebody stops you, asks you a question, and then they say, no, jama'ah. And then you continue your iqama. Do iqama again. It should be consecutive and it should be ordered. And of course, the intention should be there. This is khalas. Any person coming to do the adhan, he intends the adhan. No problem. We don't want to give some examples that will cause confusion, but this is proper. Now, what is the ruling for a recorded adhan? This happens a lot. You turn on the radio, you hear this recorded adhan. Be careful. Recorded adhan is not adhan that is transferred. For example, if the adhan is live, you hear it in the radio, no, this is a live adhan. It's a proper adhan, it's an intended adhan, it's consecutive. You can say the words behind the mu'adhin. So you turn the radio on if it's a live adhan. Live adhan as in this is the adhan from masjid so and so, now live. If it was live, you repeat the words. Most of the time, it's recorded. You hear the adhan of Mashari al-Afasi. Mashari al-Afasi is recorded, he's not here. So the recorded adhan is not an adhan that is considered a valid adhan for you. So it's not considered an adhan that has the rulings of adhan. Rulings of adhan meaning repeating the words afterwards. The Messenger Muhammad said, إِذَا أَذَّنَ الْمُؤَذِّنْ فَقُولُوا مِثْلَ مَا يَقُولُ. So if the adhan, the prayer, the person performing adhan does the adhan, you repeat his words. So if you turn on the radio and this is a recorded adhan, always recorded adhan, same time it's recorded. You can tell it's a recorded adhan. You do not have to repeat the wordings of this adhan because this is a recorded adhan. Now, what about adhan that is aired? It's a live adhan. In Abu Dhabi, it's one adhan, yes. Okay, is this a recorded adhan or is it an adhan someone is doing the adhan now?
No. For example, if you go to the wall, there is a different time, right?
I know.
Automatically from the one as adhan is coming and then everyone starts praying. So this is like
Okay, is this as again? If there was a masjid and a person is performing adhan and it's aired, because different malls. Some malls it's a recorded adhan, automatic. As soon as the time enters, Allah, this recorded adhan. This is not a valid adhan. As in, you do not repeat the wordings.
What about if you find that you can go and...
Yeah. No, in terms of prayer, we'll mention this. In terms of prayer, we'll mention this. Yeah, no problem. You can. The ruling, yes, you can go and pray. Do an iqamah, then pray in the mosque, no problem. In the prayer room. So, if it's aired like in Abu Dhabi it's one adhan in a masjid and it's aired in all the masjids. They turn on the radio signals and then you hear one adhan live. It's recorded. It's not recorded. It's transferred. It is aired in all the masjids. Is this valid? Yes. It's an adhan that was intended. It's consecutive. It's ordered. And there was intention. There's a person who performed the adhan. It's a valid adhan. طيب, it's a valid adhan. Now, how many times do you repeat the adhan? Yani, for example, here or in Sharjah, you might hear different masjid, you hear two masjids performing adhan. And you already did with one masjid, and then you turn on the radio, there's another masjid now, it's live. Do you say the same words with them? Yes, if you still did not pray Asr. For example, Asr. You heard the masjid next to your house, you kept saying the words with them. And then you turn on the radio, it's what's called, it's for Sharjah, so it's a different city, but it's similar time, and the difference is a couple of minutes. And you hear the live adhan. You can repeat the words of the adhan, no problem. But if you prayed the prayer, and then you hear another masjid saying the adhan, khalas. As long as you still did not pray the prayer, you can repeat the words of the adhan. Now, for the prayer, for the adhan to be a valid adhan, it has to be after the time starts. This is very serious. So, for example, here, you see the clock, for example, it says Dhuhr time or Asr time, Isha time. In all the prayers, Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, Isha, these four prayers, not Fajr. Fajr is an exception. These four prayers, the adhan is not valid unless it starts after the time enters. So if the Imam says Allahu Akbar before the adhan, before the time starts, it's an invalid adhan. But after the time starts, he says the adhan, alhamdulillah, even if it was like he waited like seconds, 1 minute until the time enters, and then he said the adhan, it's a valid adhan. طيب. So this is one of the things. Fajr, the opinion of the majority, Fajr is the only prayer where adhan is valid even if it was before the time. So Fajr is the only prayer where the adhan is valid even if it was before the entrance of the time. They said as a condition it has to be after midnight. Imagine, they said after midnight. So after midnight all the way until Fajr. If the adhan started, usually nowadays it doesn't happen. It's close to the Fajr, it's after the Fajr time enters, the adhan starts. But for argument's sake, why do I say this? Because some people say no, especially in Fajr, they say the time still did not enter. You hear this commotion all the time. They say, no, the Fajr still did not enter. The timing here is incorrect, the timing here, regardless, even if we say, for argument's sake, that the time here still is, that the Fajr time still did not enter, and the Imam does the adhan, it's a valid adhan. It's a valid adhan. طيب. Okay, we said that this is the opinion of the majority, the Maliki, Shafi'i and Hanbali madhab. Now, what's interesting is that all the wordings of the adhan should be by the same person. Should be by the same person. For example, you don't get two people, one of them says Allahu Akbar, and the next one says Allahu Akbar, Allah. It doesn't work. The wordings, all of the wordings should be by the same person. Should be by the same person. There was one of the brothers used to tell me in one of the countries, they were in a hotel and it was in Ramadan, and at adhan time he said the person calling adhan, there were two people. So one of them said Allahu Akbar, and then the other person continues Allahu Akbar. So the wordings of adhan by two people here. So this is not a valid adhan. The wordings should be by one person. By one person. So if someone stopped, he was doing the adhan and midway, in the middle of the adhan, he stopped. But another person wanted to continue on his behalf. What should he do? So for example, he started the adhan and then he sneezed or something, then he went to the toilet. So someone was there, he said, Khalas. He said, do the adhan instead of me. So what should he do? Yes, start from the start, beginning. You do not continue the wordings, because you said all the adhan should be by one person. All the adhan should be by one person. Now you're saying, when will this happen? The problem is that once these things happen, you start asking, what do we do now? What do we do? Is this valid? Should we do this? Should we do that? It's always like this. Now you say, these matters, it never happens. But once it happens, and we see this. It happened in front of us. Many times, subhanAllah. In your life, you're going to see things. Knowing the rulings is important. Knowing the rulings is very important. طيب. What if a person left a word in the adhan? And he said, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. And then he said, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah once. And then he said, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Here he has to go back. If he just remembered, he has to go back to the word that he missed. So the word that he missed here is Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. So he goes back to it. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, and then he continues the adhan. It happened in front of me so many times in iqamah. What happens is that, I've seen it so many times, subhanAllah. The muadhin is not there. So one of the people went and he did the iqamah. And he said, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu Muhammadan Rasulullah, Hayya ala salah, Hayya ala falah, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, la ilaha. He didn't say qad qamat salah, qad qamat salah. And then they said, you didn't say qad qamat salah. What did he do? He went and said, qad qamat salah, qad qamat salah. No, he should have, what was the right thing to do? Start, say qad qamat salah, and then continue. Allahu Akbar, la ilaha illallah. Like this happens so many times. And he made a mistake in iqamah. Yes.
In India, it's like in every masjid they give same time Azan, but like after one masjid, in one masjid they start the prayer once, then in other masjid they start again. So is this valid or no?
They start again?
In India, like they give Azan in one time.
Okay.
In a city, then like they start the prayer in different times. Is this valid?
The jama'as? No problem. And each jama'ah starts at a different time. As long as they start in the prayer time, it's no issues. As long as after the adhan and after the prayer time enters, inshallah, it's no issues. طيب. The person performing adhan must be male, sane, and able to comprehend. Yani they say able to comprehend what we mentioned in Maghrib. What is the age? 7 and above. 7 and above. They said if a person was 7 and above, he's able to comprehend. Tamyiz. Sin al-tamyiz, 7. So this is, he's able to do the things. He's able to do the adhan. 7. Of course, he should be male. Adhan from a female is invalid. Should be male, should be sane, he should be able to comprehend, which is 7 or older. طيب. Now, the wordings of adhan. What we hear here, for example, in UAE, this is the adhan of Bilal. This is the adhan of Bilal. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, Hayya ala salah, Hayya ala salah, Hayya ala falah, Hayya ala falah, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah. This is the adhan of Bilal bin Rabah. Now, who here has visited Morocco or some country where the madhab is Maliki madhab? The adhan is different. The adhan is different. What is the story behind this? There are two muadhineen. There's Bilal and there is Abi Mahdura. Abi Mahdura in Medina is someone who the Messenger Muhammad ﷺ also taught him to do adhan. It's different than the adhan of Bilal. Okay, خلاص. The adhan of Bilal is the adhan that we know. طيب, this is what we follow, يعني the Hanbali and the Hanafi madhab. Adhan Abi Mahdura is different. How does it go first? It's 2 takbirs in the start. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. And then he says in a low voice, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah, Ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah. And then he says, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah, Ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah. This is the adhan. طيب. And then he continues, Hayya ala salah, Hayya ala salah, Hayya ala falah, Hayya ala falah, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, la ilaha illallah. Similar, same thing. The only difference is at the start it's two takbirs. And then he says in a low voice, Ashhadu an la ilaha. The same thing, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu Muhammad Rasulullah, Ashhadu Muhammad Rasulullah. And then he says it out loud, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu an la ilaha. Both of them are valid.
Is the voice heard like you understand?
No, in a low voice for himself. In a low voice, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, like this. And then he says it in a loud voice. It's the Maliki madhab. This they act upon this. Now, you might be saying, which one is correct? Both of them were authentic adhans at the time of the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Some madhabs pick the adhan of Bilal, which is the common adhan that we use now. Some of them, like Imam Malik, pick the adhan because of Medina. They pick the adhan of Abi Mahdura. Okay, and both of them are valid adhans. Both of them are valid adhans. طيب. Now, iqama, again, there's two iqamas. There's the iqama of Bilal, and there's the iqama of Abi Mahdura. Iqama of Bilal, the iqama that we know. The iqama that we know. طيب. In India, how's the iqama? Same here? What? Two times, yes? That's the iqama of Abi Mahdura. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allah. This is the iqama. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadar Rasulullah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadar Rasulullah. Hayya ala salah, Hayya ala salah, Hayya ala falah, Hayya ala falah. قد قامت الصلاة, قد قامت الصلاة. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, la ilaha illallah. It's like this, huh? Yes, this is the adhan, huh? Yes, the Hanafi madhab is this. The Hanafi madhab, they choose this iqama, which is the iqama of Abi Mahdura. So you might be saying, where did they get this from? La. Both of them are valid. Both of them are valid. Sometimes, in some masjids, okay, I once, and one of the people who just came from India, and he did the iqama. People were saying, wait, no, this is also a valid iqama. You're not aware of it, but this is a valid iqama. This is the Hanafi madhab. And they use the iqama of Abi Mahdura. So, which is correct? Both of them are correct. Both of them are correct. But now, khalas, since the country here, the rulers and those who are of authority, they say, no, you have to do it this way, khalas, so that we do not cause confusion. Otherwise, if we say everyone does his own iqama, he chooses this, he chooses that, people will be confused. Especially that the iqama, the Hanafi madhab, it's similar to the adhan. A person listening will say, wait a second, this is adhan? Adhan now or iqama? So, khalas, people are used to doing, for example, the Hanafi madhab, even though if you're following a different madhab, you do the same adhan or the same iqama so that you do not cause confusion for the people. But the ruling, both of them are valid. Both of them are considered valid. طيب, who can tell me what is recommended? What are the sunnah if you're hearing an adhan? What should you be doing? What should you be saying? All the sunnahs. طيب, so first sunnah here is to repeat the wordings of adhan. Yes. What else? Okay, the dua after adhan. اللهم رب هذه الدعوة التامة والصلاة القائمة محمد الوسيلة الفضيلة وبعثه مقام محمود الذي وعدته. طيب. Huh? Be quiet? After adhan? Or at the adhan? Okay, because you're repeating the words of adhan. Okay, what else? Repeat the adhan we said. Huh?
During the azan, whatever you're doing, you should stop.
Okay, and because you're going to be repeating the words of adhan. Yes, who else? There's a sunnah. Yes, this is another sunnah which is hidden in Sahih Muslim. When the Imam says, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, he said, Wa ana ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu an Muhammad Rasul, raditu billahi rabba, bislam bidin Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam Rasulah. So you say this when the Imam says, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu an la, you repeat these words. Yes. Again? Yeah, you say? Yes, and when you say Hayya ala salah, You say لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله, لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله, لا حول ولا قوة, حي على الفلاح, لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله, لا حول ولا قوة. Again, there's still. Yes. ثم صلوا عليه. The Messenger Muhammad صلى الله عليه وسلم said this. صلوا عليه فإنه من صلى عليه صلاة صلى الله عليه به 10. ثم سلوا الله لي الوسيلة ثم سلوا الله لي الوسيلة فإن منزلة في الجنة لا تنبغي إلا لعبد من عباد الله. So the dua, so the wording, repeating the wordings of adhan, and so the first one. Second one is at the end you say Allahumma salli wa sallam ala Muhammad, and then you do the dua. طيب. Also when you say حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة, you say لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله, لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. Also when أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله, أشهد أن لا إله, you repeat ولا أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله, أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله, أشهد محمد رسول الله, أشهد محمد رسول الله, and then you say, you know, the dua, رضيت بالله رب الإسلام دين محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم رسوله. طيب. So these are all of the sunnahs. Now some of them, okay, so of the du'as, of the sunnahs also is to make dua after the adhan. So after the adhan, you said, you did the dua, you said sallallahu alaihi wasallam ala Muhammad, you can make dua for yourself now. So you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for anything. And the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, بين الأذان والإقامة, الدعاء مستجاب بين الأذان والإقامة. Between adhan and iqamah, you know, the dua is accepted. The dua is accepted between adhan and iqamah. Make best of this. طيب. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, first of all, your question, when you said, I didn't answer your question. So, is it an which masjid should be doing adhan? If you hear the adhan of the other, let's say for example, there's a masjid that no one did adhan, but there are masjids next to it that the adhan is made. If the adhan was heard from that second masjid, then it suffices them. Then it suffices them, no problem. And Aslan, we said that any group, even if they did not do the adhan is said in general. Even if they did not do the adhan, they went to the prayer room, they did the iqamah and they prayed. No problem, their prayer is valid. Now who asked me a question there?
If two masjid doing adhan and one is finished, should I wait for other one to finish to start prayer?
No, it's okay. No, you don't need. Actually, the adhan signifies the entrance of the time. So let's say the woman at home. Let's say if the woman, she started her prayer while the imam is doing adhan. While the imam is doing adhan, her prayer is valid. Let's say the imam still did not finish the adhan. Her prayer is valid. Why? Because she did the prayer after the time entered. After the commencement of the prayer time. So the prayer time entered, the imam then did adhan. So if she prayed, no problem. Of course, what is better is for her to repeat the words of adhan and take all the sunnahs. But if she prayed, no problem, her prayer is valid. Yes.
If someone while doing the adhan, he got mistaken, like for example, instead of saying Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, said La ilaha illallah.
No, he should say Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. So he repeats this word.
He repeats the full adhan or just this?
No, he missed, as if that he missed this word, he repeats the word that he missed. Yes.
You said that the adhan is a part of the community, right?
Yes.
What if someone is living in a non-Muslim country? Is it still part of the community then?
No, it's a Muslim community. Obviously for them to do adhan. Now you're living in a non-Muslim community, you do your own adhan. You do adhan and iqam and pray. Yes.
As you said, like before Fajr adhan, actually before Fajr time you can do adhan.
Yes.
After adhan, can you pray tahajjud?
Okay, yes. As long as the prayer, so your question is, you said that the adhan of Fajr could be any time before the time enters. It's valid. Yes, it's valid. طيب, can you still pray tahajjud even though the adhan is made, given that it's not in the time? If it's not in the time of Fajr still did not start, you can still do tahajjud. You can still do tahajjud. طيب. Because for example, in Medina, how many adhans for Fajr in Medina and Mecca? Two adhans. And that's the sunnah, that they were two. Yes. Yeah. Can I ask a question? Okay. So in Mecca and Medina, there are two adhans. One adhan, just like at the time of the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there's the adhan of Bilal and there's adhan Ibn Maktoum. Bilal, inna Bilal yu'adhinu bilaylin. So Bilal used to do the adhan at night before the prayer time enters. He said, alayhi salatu wasalam, eat and drink, so for those who plan to fast, until you hear the adhan of Ibn Maktum. So there are two adhans. If a person heard the first adhan, okay, can he still pray night prayer? Can he still pray witr? Yes, he can still pray witr. Actually, I'll give you a benefit for you. If you're still praying and you had to pray witr, only for witr, you had to pray witr, and that you heard the adhan. He said, Ya Allah, I wanted to pray witr, and you heard the adhan. Is it okay to pray witr? Yes. Some of the companions used to do this. Only for, you don't continue praying Qiyam Allah until Iqamah, no. But after, even if the adhan started and you are not aware, okay, and you still want to pray witr, you can still pray witr. طيب? Yes.
He's doing adhan and he makes mistake, but still he does the adhan, and then after he sees the adhan.
He what? First?
Like if someone he doing adhan and he gets mistake, after that also
Okay, when he made a mistake, he should correct himself and continue. He just made adhan and with a mistake. Plus, there are other places where they made the perfect with the full adhan. If somebody came and did the adhan, the other adhan, no problem. Don't come and turn the microphone and do adhan. And they say, no, I heard the Sheikh say. Because we can recognize your voice. Yes. Okay? Yes.
And what if like there are two countries and the same time azan happened? If in one country, or like someone is sitting and listening the other country's azan, and it's like, so like can he continue or not?
Okay, if you hear a live adhan, it's a live adhan. You can say behind him if it's a live adhan. No, there's no issues with this. But, wallahu alam. It seems that this is general hadith that said, سَمِعْتُمُ الْمُؤَذِّنَ, and this is a live adhan. And you hear a live adhan, not a recorded adhan, you can say behind the mu'adhin. It's your question. طيب, is there a condition we mentioned for the mu'adhin? If he was not in a state of wudu, his adhan is valid. ما في مشكلة. adhan صحيح. تسمع؟ إذا كان بدون طهارة أذانه صحيح. They mentioned this. They said even what if the adhan was made while he was sitting down and not standing up? Even though back then the adhan used to be made while he was standing up. Bilal used to stand up, but he was sitting down and the mic was next to his mouth and he did the adhan. They said also the adhan is valid as long as there is an intention, consecutive, ordered by a sane person who is older, 7 or older. They said it's a valid adhan. هل هو سن وبشكل عام إذا قلنا الوضوء لذكر الله وهذا ذكر لله ممكن بس ما يشترط وغالب الأصل واحد يجي يأذن ويروح يتوضأ شفناها كثير يصحى من النوم لا خلاص سجل يسوي لنا مشاكل خلاص طيب يلا خلاص هذا والله أعلم وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم جزاكم الله خير.